welcome back to another episode of Redzone Talkers. I should say the first episode of Redzone Talk. Back, I am Owen Burke. He is Timothy Hunt. After a long-awaited break and kind of a somewhat much-needed break, we're
Yeah.
back. We got a lot of football to talk about. I'm so pumped. You have no idea.
You ready to jump into it?
I am. I was laying in bed last night and I just thought about it randomly. I was like, oh, we're recording the show tomorrow. And I had a good 10 seconds where it felt like Christmas morning. I was like, oh my, I get this out. Cause my only other time to like, where I get this energy out is like at work and I'm not working while doing it. And I was like, I need this outlet to get this out of my system. So I'm not wasting company time,
Yeah.
getting myself in trouble. So
Some people poop on company time.
very excited to be back.
You talk about sports during company time.
Yeah, 100%. I know it's bad because I'll be standing there chatting, and I try to mentally be like, fucking make sure I'm working while I'm talking. Then I'll stand up and have a conversation with the guy on the other side of the cubicle,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll see my supervisor stand up and walk around the corner. I'm like, oh fuck, we've been talking for too long. This is my signal to sit the fuck back down and shut up.
Shut up and get back to work.
Yeah, it's time to at least try to work while you're talking about football. So very happy to be back, ready to run for another full season. So obviously, first episode back, we got some record predictions to knock out, my friend.
Yes, we do. We're going to talk about NFC. You want to talk about Jalen Hurts 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we can knock the fan question out of the way. It's not from a specific fan, but
Mm-hmm.
got a little bit of a fan question today. Obviously, been a hot button topic all offseason after a Super Bowl victory. Where Jalen Hurts falls in our top 10 quarterback list. If he makes the top 10, where he's at in the top 10. My overall opinion from everybody that I see talk about this is there's nobody. I really haven't seen a ton of people that I think are right about Hurts. They're either he's drastically overrated or he's drastically underrated. Like
Okay.
there's Cowboy fans and some other fans that are like he's not even top 10, and then there's other people that are like he's 3, and I'm like okay, whoa, let's shoot the middle here somewhere. So I want to hear where you're at first.
I do have him in my top 10. I think I have him at 8th is where I probably have him.
Okay.
So like I have him like see, and I've always hated like, oh, is he top 10? Like you and I think have talked about this where I think there's more tiers where like it used to be you could say there was like top 5 guys. Now I think there's clearly an elite 4 and then there's your next group and then there's kind of like that 8 to 15 group. And I think he falls more in that 8 to 15 group for me. Like last season, like he was probably QB6 or so. But I'd say he's probably 8 for me. Like I think with his rushing ability, I think is underappreciated because so many quarterbacks run now, but I still think he is a more elite runner than he gets credit for.
I would agree, and I think part of that comes from the scheme too, because of course everybody sees the tush push and they're like, "Whoop, 1 yard line merchant." That's all he does. So I'm like, he can move. I don't think they use his legs as much as they should sometimes, or maybe maybe I get caught up in that train too, and I just don't see it enough. I have him probably in that 6, 7, 8 range, somewhere in there. The issue that I fall with him is like 2 Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl victory has to count for something.
Oh,
right?
It means something. Absolutely.
Is he more talented? Yeah, like is he more talented than Justin Herbert? Probably not as just a pure quarterback body and what they're able to do if they were in identical situations. I don't think so. But at the same time, with Herbert and is kind of disappointed for a couple of years now, especially when it comes to the postseason versus Hurts has got there and done it on a big stage. That has to mean something. So for me, if you have him outside of your top 10, you're wrong. I'm so glad that you said there's an elite group of 4. You have your next probably 3 or 4, and then you got your 8 to 15 is another grouping together.
Yeah.
Because I've said this all offseason. People making their top 10 lists, doing this, doing that. If your top 4, and you can have it in various orders, I'll agree with more and disagree with, certain lists or orders of 4, but if it's not Allen, Burrow, Jackson, and Mahomes, that has to be your top 4.
And
is
I
where
think
I'm at.
like that list, I'm pretty flexible on. Like the people putting Allen at 1, I think are a little crazy. Like I think
You're
that's too
insane.
because like okay, Mahomes just wins, right? Like he just gets to Super Bowls year after
Yeah.
year. So I think the chair has to be his.
Yeah.
But then Lamar's won more MVPs and had the same amount of playoff success as Josh Allen. So I don't fully get it. Like I think Allen's a better player. Like
Yeah.
right now, if I had to pick one, I'm taking Allen, but it's like by a hair. Like it's like
Okay.
so close. And like I think Burrow is firmly 4 personally because he's the hardest
Yeah.
to judge
I
because you
agree.
look at the weapons out of this top 4 and it's like, well, Burrow's got the best. Burrow's wide receiver 2 would
By
be the best
far.
would be the best wide receiver on the other three's team. Like it's not even close. Would you take T Higgins
Yeah.
over
I would say so.
I'd take T Higgins over Zay Flowers personally.
I
Is there
probably would. Like if we're doing like a one for one swap with fit, I'm a huge Zay Flowers guy, and
yeah.
it's hard for me to take my bias out. I wanted him out of the draft, and we got him, and he's been a stud. But objectively, especially if we're talking about fit next to Rashad Bateman, I think you have your big body 1, and you have your route runner
Yeah.
savant at your 2, and it's a beautiful pairing at that point. So I would agree with you. Yeah, like it's not a crazy take to say that T is the best receiver if he's on any of those other three
Other teams.
teams.
And that's his wide
And
receiver
everyone wants
2.
to yeah, exactly. And everyone points to the numbers that he put up last year and I was like and it's
Yeah.
not purely situation based. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback with great weapons, but when your defense gives up 34 a game, you got to score 35 to be competitive. Like, of
Yeah.
course, he's going to have a ton of numbers. That's just how the game is played. So I think Burrow is 4. And the reason that he can't pass any of those guys to me is he's not been in the playoffs in the last 2 seasons. His last
Yeah.
playoff game was the playoffs of 2022. We're going on a 3rd year if they don't make it this year, which is very
That's
possible. We'll talk
crazy.
about that next episode.
That's
It's
nuts.
nuts, right? Because I don't feel like
Yeah.
a ton of people. I've seen it more in the recent weeks, but I that was the number. That's the number one thing I've been putting on all Bengals fans. Are like, he's the best quarterback in the league. I was like, he's not even the best quarterback in your division, buddy. But all right, we can if you want to talk about it. So yeah, as far as Hurts goes, like when I see him at 5, obviously I think that's a little high. I don't think that's a crazy take to have him at 5 because again, it's
5
the
is
wins. Like
it's a
and
lot more interesting of a conversation at 5. Like 5 is
yeah,
like I don't think it's inappropriate, but it is. I think it's too high. Like I
it's
think
a
it's
hot take, but it's
yeah.
not egregious.
Like you get to that like I'd say like Stafford, uh, Herbert, and then probably Daniels. If we're just gonna say like okay, take that one
Daniels, yeah,
season and take the snapshot, like that would probably be my next 3. But then I think he kind of belongs more in that like that next group like that. I think he's the top of the next group. I would take him over like
I would agree.
Goff, Stroud, Mayfield would I'd put in that group. Jordan Love I'd put in that group. Like you know what I mean? Like that group, I think he's the first
Yeah.
guy I would take, but I think I would still take
Mhm.
the other 3 before him.
Yeah. Big shout out Geno Smith. I think he falls in that category too. He
Yeah,
was
Geno Smith,
played
that's a
really
good
well in
name.
Seattle. Like I don't think he's gotten enough credit for what he did in Seattle overall, and then especially last year behind what was a really bad offensive line. I know they didn't do great, but man, if they had a right guard and a right tackle that were competent, I think that was a playoff team last year. I think they could have been really good.
I'd put like
So yeah, overrated by some.
Dak maybe in that category. Of
Yeah,
guys.
I would say so. A healthy deck. It gets really muddy. Like that's the bottom line. Is again, there's a clear cut 4, and you can order that 4 however you want, and I'll agree with some, disagree with others. But after that, it honestly does get muddy. There's a lot of quarterback talent, and everybody has their pluses and their minuses.
Yeah.
Herbert is a physical specimen, and in a vacuum, no situation around him is like the quarterback that you would make in a lab most of the times.
Yeah.
But the success on the field has not followed amid obviously he's on his 3rd head coach. He's had a couple different coordinators. They gutted his weapons when Harbaugh first got there. You
Like to
know,
be fair
like
to
he's
that,
dealt with some things.
like it was just the wrong coach every time. Like it was never the right guy until Harbaugh. Like that's always been the
No.
problem. Who
Yeah.
was the guy before Harbaugh?
And again,
Brandon
even
Staley?
then, yeah, Brandon Staley, and then before that was Anthony Lynn, which
Yeah,
both are
yeah,
widely regarded as far as good teams with bad coaches. Those might be 1 and 2, honestly.
too.
Like
Yeah,
there's been bad coaches, but they've been off on bad teams, weren't expecting much. The Dennis Allens of the world. But as far as like, hey, this team is a fucking playoff team, right? Second in their division, and they would win most divisions in the NFL, but they happen to share a division with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Those teams just sucked because no clock management, couldn't get a stop on defense, just bad for the most part. And
yeah,
then people hold that against Hurts too. Like, well, yeah, it's the same thing with Burrow. That number 2 receiver would be the best receiver on every team but Cincinnati in that top 4. And I think I'd take him over T. Higgins probably. Like he'd probably
yeah,
be my wide receiver 2 in Cincy, I would say. But to me, it's not a thing you can hold against him. It's not his fault he got drafted to a team that is well ran by Howie Roseman, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Like,
yeah.
and also, let's not forget this guy was a second. I know that he had the college success. He was benched for Tua in a national championship game. Had to transfer to Oklahoma. He was a second round pick. Like, there was a chance that this guy was out of the league in 4 years when he got
Yeah.
drafted. It was a if or that thing, and he's put in the work, and he's stuck, and he's won a Super Bowl. Like, he does deserve some credit at the end of the day in my book. So I think a lot of people are too high on him. A lot of people are too low on him.
Like the success, like the thing that separates him in that tier that he's in is the success. Like he hasn't had enough
Yeah,
success to
I agree.
move up a tier. Like, I mean, you would take the skill set of Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert, and Stafford long before you take Hurts. But I think Hurts is out
I
of
think you
that
could add
next.
another.
Huh? Go ahead.
I was like, I think you could add a couple other. Like, I think Jordan Love might fall into that list. Like, I think there's a
Yeah.
couple more quarterbacks that would
Yeah.
fit that I would rather have their skill set. But again, you cannot deny the
He
results of what
wins.
he's done.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
doesn't win by like not doing anything. Like that's the thing I think that needs
yeah,
to be said is like he is driving the winning, especially this last Super Bowl. I would say he was the
yeah,
reason they maybe lost the first one, but this one I think they won it more because of him than anyone else. So
yeah. I agree, 110%. Like the people that out there that think he's just a mobile Brock Purdy, I think are
that's
asinine.
delusional.
Like that's where I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, exactly. I'm like, I was like, what logo is on your hat right now? Because I'm betting $50 that it's a star, probably.
I would say the
So
best one-to-one comparison to him would be Jared Goff. And Goff you give more arm strength to, and then Hurts you just give more mobility to, and then like they kind of average
yeah,
out to be somewhere in the middle of what they are. So,
yeah,
but
I like that. That's a really good comparison. I like that. So, I mean, if you guys want a full extended top 10 to 15 list, we could definitely give that to you, but that's going to have to be requested because that's going to be some time and some debate that'll happen on that episode.
oh,
So,
definitely
definitely can't fit that into a prediction episode, but that's where we're at on Jalen Hurts. Now it's time to predict some NFC records today, my friend.
nice. Let's do it. Um,
All right. So, where you want to start at? What are you thinking?
well, let's do NFC South. I think it's a really interesting conversation. Um, who do you have winning the NFC South?
I have the Buccaneers as my first place team here. I got them finished, I think, a hair lower than you. I got them at 10-7 coming out
Yeah.
of that division.
I have them 12-5. The thing I'll say about Tampa Bay is they don't get worse. Like that's the best part about Tampa Bay
No,
is they've won the division 3 years in a row now. Is it this would be going for
two
number
or
4.
three. Yeah,
Um like they don't
I
get
think
worse.
so.
There's like Baker Mayfield just bounces through offensive coordinators like they don't even matter to him. He was able to learn Sean McVay's system to win a game well enough in 3 days. Like he is a beyond
Yep.
competent quarterback at this point in his career. There's a lot of teams that would kill to have Baker Mayfield level play. Um, so, but yeah, I
Yeah,
have them
I
12 and
agree.
5. And that's about where they need to land. I think 12 and 5. I think they win more games. I think they're better than people think, and I think that division is worse than people think.
I agree, and I mean that's which is funny to say that for a division that has been widely regarded as the worst in football for a better part
Yeah.
of a 5 year stretch. They're going for 5 straight division titles this year. They've won 4 now, so
Oh, it
I
is.
think Brady
Okay.
was one, and then I
Oh,
think Brady might have
okay.
been 2 of them actually, and now Baker's had 2, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, they're going for 5 straight, and I think they've got the talent to do it. Chris Godwin or not, Emeka Ibuka I think is a stud, and I think he's going to. If Godwin's not ready to roll at the beginning of the season, I really don't think they're going to miss much of a step. Now, obviously, they're only going to get better if Godwin is good to go. When you have that trio out there with K. Otten, a reliable run game, and Bucky Irving, it comes down to the things that you can't really figure out in preseason, which is how good is the offensive line going to be, and what does the offense look like without Liam Cohen now. So
Yeah. It'll be definitely interesting
I'm
to
glad we're at the
see.
same spot.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely on the same page there. Second, I think we have the same too. I have the Panthers going 10-7.
I have them at 8 and 9, but I do have them as my second team in that division. I
Yeah.
have them taking a step forward. I definitely think they're trending in the right direction. I think Ted McMillan is going to be a stud, and honestly, I think that's where a lot of their success lies because Xavier Legette has looked rough still through the preseason, and obviously Jamar Chase looks like he couldn't catch a football in his preseason. I went back, I saw somebody talk about it. I was like, was it that bad? And I went
Mhm.
back and watched some plays from Jamar Chase's rookie preseason. God awful. Like dropping screen passes, god awful. So it doesn't always tell you the whole story, but I think having 2 big body receivers like that, where Bryce doesn't have to be 110% accurate all the time, he's got 2 guys that are 6'2" and up are going to be his 2 receivers out there. But second year of the Dave Canales program. This is the first head coach in 3 seasons now to get a second year. They
Yeah,
one and
that's
done, one and done, and now Canales is entering year 2.
that's
Luckily, so
crazy.
which yeah, that's a nuts thing. That's a thing.
That
So we'll
shouldn't be a
see
thing,
for
but
Bryce Young. He looked so good down the stretch last year. Like
he got
I mean,
better. Every week he got a little
yeah,
bit better and climbed and climbed and climbed. And whenever you see that, it makes you think, okay, well, he's just going to roll some of that momentum into this next season. And I think if he
yeah.
started last season the way he finished it, like if you just took that and made that him in week one, I think that's pretty close to a playoff team. Like I think that team is pretty good.
Yeah, and like he's entering that 15 in towards the 8 range if he plays that whole season. If he plays a whole season like he did the last 4 weeks of last year, I
Yeah.
think he probably marches up towards that 13 or 14 spot for me. Like he looked really good down the stretch, which is
Yeah.
a very very good sign considering halfway through the season was like, are the Rams going to move for Bryce Young at the deadline? Like that was the headline. Like
Yeah.
midway through the year, he got benched, and they were like, "Is Bryce Young going to a new team?" And those last 4 games are like, he's not fucking going anywhere. I was like, this is finally the guy that went #1 overall. We're finally seeing that.
It's
So
coming through.
I think he was a
I'm
guy that could have, yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Uh, nah, we're good. It's first episode back. It's gonna happen every once in a while. We'll get back into the flow of it, but I think he was a guy that really could have benefited from sitting for a full year, just size and stature. Like Drew Brees got to sit in San Diego for a bit, and then the injury thing, and then get to New Orleans, and he's 5,000 yard seasons later is the best quarterback of his era, not named Brady or Manning. So to me, he was a guy that probably could have used a year just to kind of get used to what an NFL system kind of looked like and what it was going to play like. But yeah, I think he's trending in the right direction. If he builds off of it, do you have them as 10 and 7 in the playoffs for you for them? I would
10,
assume
10-7, yeah, that gets them. They're a wild card team for me. Um,
gets them into the
so
wild card. I think 8-9 on mine puts them at the 10 spot, just behind a couple other teams that we'll talk about later. But they're like one of the first teams out on my side. So
third in the division
what
for
do we got?
me is the team I hate the most, the Atlanta Falcons. My absolute rival. They cost me so much money last season, and I'll never forgive them for it. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't. There's so many things that I don't know. Like I think Penix is good. Like, I don't think Penix is the issue. I just don't know if anything else around him is good enough.
Yeah. And I don't think that's so much more on the offensive side of the ball, because I think Drake London really stepped out at the end of
Yeah.
last year and kind of cemented himself as finally a receiver that was drafted in the top 10. He finally looked like it. Bijan, solid. My only issue with Penix, because I've talked about this at lengths with guys at work, some of them are Penix guys. They think the Falcons are going to struggle because of him. And I was like, the only reason they're going to struggle because of Penix is if he gets hurt. Like, if
Yeah.
that's what you want to put it on, and you're like Penix can't stay healthy, that's why they'll struggle. That's an okay take to me, just because at least there's a history there for it. But I was a very large Penix supporter coming out. I thought he was tape for tape. I thought he was a really good quarterback coming out. Obviously, the situation wasn't ideal after signing Kirk to a 4-year, $160 million contract. So, I mean, that's also an unknown, like how much of a leash is Penix going to have, because if he, at the end of the day, he's going to be starting his first couple NFL games this season, and if he has a
Yeah.
really rough 4 weeks, are they going to immediately turn to Kirk? Are they going to let him trial by fire and work through it? I have no idea on that
I
side. And as much as they spent on edge rushers in the class with Jalen Walker and James Pierce, I don't know what that defense is going to provide. I know Raheem Morris is a defensive guy, but I haven't. They've been searching for edge rushers. Even when they had Judon, I feel like they were searching for edge rushers to pair, and they've never been able to find a guy. Vic Beasley, Dante Fowler, they've been trying for literally almost a decade to get some pressure off the edge, and they have not been able to find it for the most part.
well, and oh gosh, I'm gonna blank on his name. The Falcons head coach. What's his name? Uh, just said it.
Raheem
Raheem
Morris?
Morris. Is he the guy? Like, that's really the question, right? Is people forget,
Yeah.
like, they're just like, look at the talent, and it's like, well, the talent doesn't matter if you don't have the right guy at head coach. So, and he's done nothing to me
Yep.
where it's not like the team got better as the season went along. There's nothing to me that points that, like, okay, hey, here's how this team's going to get better. Here's their win condition. Here's
Yep.
something to me that's like, okay, this is a team that's going to make a big leap. Uh, there's nothing, but I mean, besides
Yeah.
Penix, unless Penix is absolutely elite, and I think he's got full reign. Like, there's no way I think they bench him. I mean, unless he's going to get hurt or
I
I mean,
hope not.
like, I don't see that happening, but I just don't know. There's so many questions. I mean, Penix is like, he's got to be what, 26, 27? Because he was old.
27, I think.
Was he
Like,
like one of the 5 or 6 year guys, right, coming out?
I,
Um,
I, I think he was a 6-year guy, if I remember right.
so it's like, I
Um,
just, there's so many things. Oh, he's only 25, so I'm being a bit dramatic, but
okay. Okay. But still, I mean, that's not, it's not spring chicken, like
yeah,
Lamar Jackson was 6 years in the league when he was 25. And I know that he's the opposite end of that.
yeah,
He's the extreme on the other end of that scale. But like, I would agree with you. Like, Raheem Morris, there was nothing that stuck out about the Falcons last year. The defense did step out. He obviously has to fight the uphill battle of being a defensive coach with a young quarterback. That's never a thing that's usually panned out as far as team success goes. So I'm interested to see how that dynamic goes as well.
yeah.
But because that's what I was really looking for was the defensive leap. I was like, this is a team that's been kind of lacking on that side of the ball for years now. Maybe a defensive coordinator, a defensive oriented guy can get them moving in the right direction. And there was none of it. I didn't see it last year.
No. Let's jump into last in the division. We both have the Saints. We've kind of mirrored each other, and we
Yep.
didn't do this together is the craziest part. But
No.
Saints are last. We don't have to spend a lot of time about them. They stink. Who's playing
Yeah.
quarterback for them?
Yeah.
Spentler Rattler, I don't think is
It
any
doesn't
good.
matter.
Yeah, Tyler Shaw, I don't like. I'm an ACC guy, and I was
Nope.
like, he went in the second round. I was like, that's nuts. Like, I don't know. A lot of
And
people
he's
like it.
old. And
Yeah,
he's injury. I don't get it.
there's nothing about
And I've been a V. Go ahead.
the only reason I like the Saints. The only thing is I like Kellen a lot. Like, I think he's going to be a good head coach, but I think he's going to be a great head coach when
Okay.
they have the number 1 overall pick and then they take a stellar quarterback. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I have them at 4-13, and I think that's probably twice as many wins as they're going to end with. I think this is the worst team in the NFL. I think overall, like anything any talent that they've kept has only gotten older, right? Demario Davis, Cameron Jordan, Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
All once some of the best players at their position, they've all gotten older year after year. And it's not to say that they're horrible now, but there is going to be a drop off in Alvin Kamara's play at some point. Cameron Jordan has to take a step back at some point. Demario Davis has already kind of taken that step back. He was a top 10 linebacker 2 years ago, and he's just older. It's just what it is. He's not as physical downhill as a guy like Bobby Wagner, who's found a little bit of a renaissance in Washington in that aspect. But the worst quarterback room in the NFL by far, and honestly, I don't know of a quarterback room off the top of my head until you get back to like 0-16 teams that is worse. Like, because it's Spencer Rattler, it's a 26-year-old injury riddled Tyler Show, and it's Jake Hayner. Like, those are the three quarterbacks they have on roster right now. And to give
TikTok
it
famous
perspective,
Jake
like,
Hayner.
yeah, that's their guy. TikTok famous Jake Hayner, former number one overall high school prospect Spencer Rattler, and Justin Herbert's former backup at Oregon, Tyler Show, in his rookie season. If to put
That's
into
crazy.
perspective how old this guy was, like Bryce, one of our buddies, Bryce, his dad is a high school coach out in California. Obviously, watches all the football up and down that coast. And he saw Show go in the second round. He's like, I was watching him at Oregon. He was Herbert's backup. He just went in the second round 6 years later. Like,
Crazy.
that's
The
insane.
the
That's
funniest thing
nuts.
to me is the Saints, like, whoever the QB scout is gone. Like, what they said, what if we pick quarterbacks who have no college success whatsoever? What if we took all of those guys? What if we took
Yeah.
that group of guys? Like, huh? Like,
Uh,
none of these guys were like
I don't.
any good in college. Like, Spencer Rattler was like
No.
supposed to be the next thing at Oklahoma, and then he went and like stunk it up at South Carolina for 2 years. Like, I don't get it. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've already
Yeah.
spent too much time talking
Very
about the
weird.
Saints. Like, Arch Manning is
Yeah.
their best bet. Like, and I don't even think he's coming out. So, Garrett Newsom
Yeah.
maybe, or who's the Penn State
Yeah. It
kid?
might be
Drew
Funner,
Aller.
maybe.
Yeah, man.
Drew Aller, yeah. The last thing for the Saints, just the funniest tweet I've seen about that and Arch and everything. I think it was Archie, it was his granddad, former quarterback for the Saints,
Yeah.
who was like, I don't think Archie's going to the draft this year. He's gonna stay. He'll be at Texas next year. And it was a Saints fan, like, quote retweeted. It was like, we're gonna be asked then too, buddy. There's no running from this. We can do this all day long. Like, you're like, it's true. They're gonna be there, man. Your only hope is that it follows what I have and they win 4 games somehow while Cleveland loses 2. That's your only way out of New Orleans, is somebody being worse,
Okay,
unfortunately.
we're gonna do one more thing on it, just because why not? I
Okay.
am low key hoping that Taysom Hill plays some quarterback this year. Like, give Taysom Hill 4
That
games
would,
at starting QB. Because do you remember for a while there when it was like, oh, is Taysom Hill going to take over for Drew Brees when Drew Brees retires? It was like a
yeah.
legit
Yeah.
conversation. I just want that to happen. Like, now I'm just like, oh, please let him be the
And
guy.
yeah, and I think if it wasn't for him being such just a raw football guy, just like, put me at fullback, I don't care. Just put me on the field. I'm gonna run through. I'm gonna run through a motherfucker's face. Like, if he wasn't so much of that guy and such a gadget guy for Sean Payton, I think he would have. I think they probably
Yeah.
would have at least gave him a shot to hand him the reins. But Sean Payton just could not resist lining that guy up at tight end and bombing everyone's fantasy weeks when he scores 4 touchdowns because he threw for 2 at the tight end spot. Like, he couldn't get over that, so he couldn't be the successor to Drew Brees. That's really, to me, what kind of held him up. So, but I do not think it's a crazy argument to make that Taysom Hill's the best quarterback on that roster right now, and he's their second string tight end.
The circusing tight end has the most quarterback talent out of anyone on the roster. That's nuts. But welcome to New
I
Orleans, I
don't.
guess.
Yeah, it's a crazy headline, but not a crazy take at all.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right. You ready to jump into the NFC West now?
Probably not. This is probably the one I feel the worst about, but that's what we got up next on the docket, so that's what we're going to do.
All right. First place, I have the Los Angeles Rams. I have them going 11-6.
Okay. I like it. I have the Niners, and this is no diss to the Niners at all. No diss to Bryce if he listens to this episode. He's our resident Niners fan. I have him at 12-5, and I know that I'm already way too high on him. I'm
Yeah.
just like when I came out of it, when you do these record predictions, there's only so many edits you can make after you go through the first time before it just gets real fucky. Like if I was to try to knock San Francisco down a couple games, all of a sudden I have the Browns winning 6 games for some reason. And I'm like, well, that's worse
Yeah.
objectively. I think the Browns winning 6 is less likely than the Niners winning 12. At least I have some history to back myself up in the talent in San Fran. So yeah, I know I'm too high on it. I want to talk about the Rams first. So
Okay.
unless you want to go on the Niners.
I have a great thing to add to your last comment there. If you've never done a full season schedule predictor before, I highly recommend it. They're a blast. But it's kind of
It
like
is.
doing a Rubik's Cube if you didn't know how to do a Rubik's Cube, where you're like, okay, I need to move this white space to this side, but you don't know how to do it. And every time you do it, you're like, okay, how did that white space end up like come in a completely different area? That's
I've made
exactly
this worse.
yeah, like you
Yeah.
have to be real careful. Like if you do it and then go back and tweak, and you're like, well, I think this team actually finishes here, and then you tweak it, and then yeah, you end up doing something where it's like the Giants are in the playoffs now. How did I do that? They were like the worst team in that division. Like how did I? You slowly
Exactly.
like you kind of can lose like the overall picture if you if like you have to think about it while you do it. That's the thing I'll say is like it's important to
Yeah.
pay attention to like,
Mhm.
okay, could I see this team like you'll do it like your first time you'll do it. You'll be like, damn, the Chiefs are 7-0, the Bills are 7-0, the Ravens are 7-0. Like you'll have like 6 teams. You're like, they haven't lost a
Yeah.
game. That won't happen. That'd be
Yeah.
insane. So then you have to go back and then you're like, okay,
Yeah.
could I see this team being 5-4? Yes. Okay. Could I see this team being 1-6? Yes. Could I see? You know what I mean? You have to kind of like take it in
Yeah.
chunks and like pay attention in the chunks and be like, oh yeah, like because otherwise you'll end up and you're like, man, the Chiefs lost 1 game and the Bills lost 2, and it's like that won't happen. That's just not
Yeah.
like how it
Yeah.
works. And so
Yeah.
it is
You get to week
interesting.
8 and you're like, yeah, you get to week 8 and you're like, oh, the Colts are 0-8. And you're like, they're going to be a bad team, but like, that's
Not that bad.
drastic. Like,
Yeah,
that's
not that
way
bad.
too far. Yeah, exactly.
Anthony Richardson will
So,
win
yeah,
one
it's,
somehow. So
yeah, some 60-yard miracle while he's falling to the ground. He'll get one in. So,
hey, the Colts have a better
all
QB
right.
situation
Which of
than the
these
Saints. So, but all right, enough about the Saints. So,
low
the
bar to hit,
Rams.
but
The things that I like the Rams that they did this offseason. I think moving on from Cooper Cup was the right move. It kind of felt like he was gone the second half of last season, anyways. So I felt like that was the right move.
yeah,
Paying Devonte Adams like a bag of popcorn and 25 cents out of Sean McVay's car was kind of a crazy signing, especially to be wide receiver too. Like that is like an ideal
mhm,
situation for Sean McVay. Really, the biggest
mhm.
question for this team to me is, do you trust Stafford's health? And that's why I only have him winning 12 games, you know, and I could see him. Did I say 12 or 10? Now I'm questioning what I said. 11. Sorry. I have him winning
I think that
11
was
games.
11.
But that's I think you can factor in Matthew Stafford's going to miss 4 games. And Jimmy Garoppolo is good for 2-2 during those 4. Like that's the everything that they've done and kind of set up is to be successful. So there's nothing that they did that I didn't like really this offseason. So
Yeah. The hilarious part of this is that Devonte Adams was like, "Get me the hell out of Vegas. I can't play with Jimmy Garoppolo anymore." There's a very solid chance that that's who his quarterback is for the first 4 weeks if Stafford's not ready. So uh, that part is hilarious. I do agree with you. Like him to come in to play next to Puka Nakua, whoever ends up, I think there's a chance that Devontae might end with better numbers, depending on who the defense keys on. I do think
yeah,
defenses are probably going to key on Devontae still more, but they have now a pick your poison thing, which is what they had with Cooper Cup in Puka's rookie year. But again, Cup kind of trailed off towards the end. I don't think we'll talk about him when we get to Seattle. They're in this division, but I don't think he's horrible by any stretch. But there was an obvious decline towards the end of the year, and I think Stafford being out also kind of hurt that. Like when he
Yeah.
was out, it felt so much more of the Puka Nakua show than it was the Cooper Cup show as it was in the years previous. So they paid Kyron Williams. Again, Stafford's the real big question, right? Like, again, people have been making jokes about it here and there, but it feels like we might be getting Christian McCaffrey again with this health situation, that they're just not telling us the whole thing. Hell, the Chargers are doing it with Najee Harris right now, too. Like, he's an undisclosed eye injury has kept him out of practice the entire. He has not practiced yet. We're going into week 2 of the preseason through training camp and everything. Najee Harris has not been a full member of practice a single time for an eye injury, and they're like, "Oh, it's not that bad. He'll be ready to go." And I'm like, "He's not touched the field yet. It feels like a bold claim." And Stafford got an epidural in his back for his pain a week ago, and that does not scream he'll be ready to roll for week 1. Unless he's getting one, during pregame warmups every fucking week. Like,
Yeah.
just doesn't feel like he's going to be good. So I think they struggle early. They round out. They are the second team in my division.
Okay.
I have them at 10-7 as my 7 seed going into the wild card. So it's not that I'm horribly low on them by any stretch. Again, I don't have a ton of faith in Jimmy G either. I do agree with you that he's a 2-2 guy in the right. He's a 2-2 guy in LA. I don't
Like
think he was a 2-2 guy in Vegas, and we saw that. But
the
in McVay's system with the weapons, I think he's there.
that's what they've done so well, is that Devontae Adams is a great route runner. And same thing with Puka Nakua. So you have two guys who can
Yep.
make plays happen with short throws, and McVay is going to be able to handle that when it's Garoppolo, right? Like Garoppolo was a serviceable quarterback his whole time in San Francisco. Not great, not good, but
Yep.
serviceable, like good enough.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he needs to be for 6 games out of this year. If he goes 3-3 during those 6 games, I think
Yep.
they're fine. I really do. Like I
Yep.
I like the way they've set this team up. Let's talk about the 49ers here. You have them first. I have them
Mm-hmm.
third. I have them going 8-9. There's just so
Ooh.
much in this that I don't like about what they've done. I mean, I know guys are coming back from leg injuries like never before, but I don't know, man. McCaffrey can only tear. Did he tear his ACL or MCL? What was it this time? You remember?
Last year it wasn't. Remember, it was the tendonitis, or it
Oh,
was
is
it
that what it
was a
was?
lingering thing, not a tear or anything. Which to me that could be more terrifying than coming back from an ACL, because
Yeah.
tendonitis, or I almost want to say it was, they used the word arthritis a couple times or not. Like, that shit sticks. Like, there's no, tendonitis will linger on your ass for years, a year at a time, 8 months to a time. So, like, that's almost sometimes worse because you never really give it a full chance to heal, especially if you're in the knee deep into a season. You're just going and you're just trying to manage it. You might take a week off. You get the bye week to rest here. You get a mini bye if you got a Thursday one week, but you
Yeah.
never really have a full chance to like reset and get yourself going. So I can see the skepticism there on him coming
So
back.
so now he's coming back. Uh you look at Ayuk, who had a disappointing season last year. You get rid of Debo. Um you hope George Kittle will be George Kittle, right? Like I think George Kittle is on that back half of his career, which he's still a top 15 tight end, a top 10 tight end. Sorry, top 15 was maybe a bit
Yeah,
low. Sorry. No disrespect to George Kittle. He's
yeah.
great.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, but the whole problem is there is like, okay, so the team got worse, right? You lose your middle linebacker, you lose who else? Oh, they lose wide receiver 2, maybe wide receiver 1. I don't know. Like
Mhm.
that wide receiver room went from one of the most talented wide receiver rooms to like a Patriots wide receiver room where you're like, man, they have a bunch of wide receiver 2s on this team and no real wide receiver 1. Um I don't know. I can't trust a 29-year-old running back coming off of that. Like I can't. I don't know. The talent
Yeah.
to me didn't feel there. So
Why I have them so high? I'm a little bit more optimistic on McCaffrey. I they do still have the best inside linebacker in the game in Fred Warner. Losing Dre Greenlaw is a big loss. I will agree.
yeah,
Their corners have still not been great in the last 3 to 4 years of the Shanahan era. The reason I have them so high is that, for the most part, the NFC South or the NFC West schedule is kind of a cakewalk. They play the AFC South and they play the NFC South, which are widely regarded as the two worst divisions in football. And when you're going to play a lot of bad football teams, I'm going to take the most well coached team there. And to go and to pivot back for a hair to Garoppolo, like you said, serviceable in San Fran. When he's in the right offensive system, he can make it work, because in Vegas they asked him to throw the ball 50 yards down the field, and every Niners fan will tell you that's a horrible idea. McVay's going to scheme up short just like Shanahan did. And so I do think Brandon Ayuk is a wide receiver one. The question is, he is coming off of a major knee surgery, and that does, again, like you said, more guys are coming back from those injuries at a better rate than they ever have been, but it's still a question. It's not a slam dunk at this point. You're like, oh, the guy tore his Achilles, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just give him a year, like it's still, I don't remember if it was his Achilles or his ACL. Both are hard to come back from, especially in such a stop and go, top speed to bottom speed position as wide receiver is. But again, it's just the strength of schedule and me having faith that Shanahan's going to be able to put something together against a weaker schedule. Like when you play the Titans, the Colts, the Jags, a banged up Houston team, and then the Saints, the Falcons, like that's probably 6 wins right there, And I'm like, you split the division 3-3, that's 9 wins right out the gate. Just splitting it right there, I think that's your win total is right there in those 9 games. So, and they might not split the division. We still got to talk about this rest of this division, but
Yeah.
I just have a lot of faith in Shanahan. You can call into the question the clutch thing in the playoffs, and did he choke the Super Bowl against the Patriots? He didn't get the job done against the Chiefs either time. He's never been a bad regular season head coach. There's never been a time in Week 14 where I'm like, they lost this game because of Kyle fucking Shanahan, because he couldn't call the game right. So
That's fair.
But yeah,
Let's
also the last header on them, 12
Mhm.
and 5 is unrealistic. I'm way too high on them. I know it. That's just the way schedule plays, and I wasn't gonna sit with the Rubik's cube for 15 minutes and mess everything else up to get it right. So
Yeah.
grain of
That's
salt
okay.
there on the Niners 12 and 5.
Do you have the Cardinals? So you have the Cardinals finishing third then, I'm assuming? No. Ooh.
I do
Okay.
not, my
Who do
friend.
you want? Let's
I
talk
do
about the
not.
Cardinals because I have them finishing second for me, um, in the division.
Okay.
So I have them going 9-8. I have them sneaking in as the 7th seed in the wild card. Um, we talked about this and we've tried to talk through it and like, well, what do you like? And I go, I don't really know. I think I just like them more
Yeah,
than the rest of the NFC. I don't. I just. There's a feeling to
fair.
me where like okay, you fixed your backup QB problem. So when Kyler gets hurt, not if, when Jacoby Brissett is a serviceable backup. Um, yeah, I mean James
One of
Conner's
the
James
best.
Conner. You know what I mean? He is what he is. There's nothing that's gonna blow you away. I just like the core of this team. This team feels like they're ready to take that next step. Some of the moves that
Mm-hmm.
uh, Josh Sweat, I think, is the right guy. I mean, Calais Campbell's still around. I don't know how that dude just keeps getting contracts. Like it's just crazy. Um, that
If it
dude,
makes you feel any better, I wanted him in Baltimore. So
yeah, no, that's
there was a part of the trade deadline last year where I was like, "Fucking Super Bowl run, come on!"
he's like a 7 sack guy. Like that's just who Calais Campbell
Yeah.
is at this point. And um, I don't know. I like them. I don't think they're gonna blow anybody out of the water, but I think they could win 9 games. And the way I had the NFC shaken out, that's enough to make the playoffs. So
Yeah, they're my fourth team, and we'll get to Seattle here in a minute. I have them at 7-10, which is not far off. That's a 2 game shake. So, um, my biggest problem when it comes to that team might be Kyler Murray, and it's not even the health; it's just the inconsistencies here and there. You can make the jokes about the Call of Duty memes and this, that, or the other, or whatever. But to me, he just hasn't felt like a guy who's really cared. Because I think talent wise, he should be that guy in that 5 to 8 range. I think he should have been one of those names you brought up when we're talking about where we place Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone would agree that running should be one of his key strengths. Like he has a superpower of his legs, and he's eclipsed 700 rushing yards one time in his career. And I get the injuries and things. He played the full 17 last year, and he had 570 on the ground, which isn't bad by any stretch. By most quarterback standards, 570 is a pretty damn good year. But for a guy who was once compared to Lamar Jackson as far as what he can do with his legs, 570 is a bad year. Like there just feels like some weeks, whether it's Call of Duty related or not, where it's just I'm like, you should be in those conversations. And the turnover with the head coach, the weapons haven't always been great, right? So maybe that's why his motivation has struggled at times. But um it's it's not like a no faith in Kyler situation. It's just like I just it's not a bet that I like to place because like it's what again it's I'm like you should be up here and we can't put you here because it feels like you don't want to be there. Like there's just certain weeks where I'm like, where are you at? What is going on? You should be in these top 10 or fringe top 5 conversations, and it's not for a lack of talent. We all know that he's a Heisman winner. He's the number 1 overall draft pick. Like he was touted coming out. He played like it at certain parts of his career. At certain parts of last season, he played like it. And then there's other weeks where I'm like, what fucking
Yeah.
where is this coming from? Like what's going on?
He's thinking
So
about baseball, I
again,
think. So,
you think so?
yeah, I think so. He's doing the old strategy of thinking about baseball when you should be thinking about something else, just so something doesn't happen too early. I think he's mistaking that and
Yeah.
doing that while he plays quarterback. But
he's he's thinking about all the money he left on the table. Is probably what he's thinking about.
I don't know. Yeah, he could be a New York Met right now if he had picked baseball. Who knows? But yeah, I uh
Yeah,
I I, I don't know. I'd like to see him go back to old Kyler. And I
I
think
agree.
there's opportunity there. I think it could be happening. So
Yeah, as much as I vehemently hate anyone who gets compared to Lamar Jackson because they can run the football, they're like, "Oh, he had 600 rushing yards. He's the next Lamar Jackson." As much as those headlines piss me off, I'm all for it because I think Lamar Jackson is one of the most entertaining players in football, and I'm all for being able to watch multiple of that style of guy. And again, I
yeah.
just haven't seen it when I feel like it's not for a lack of talent. We know that. So,
All right, let's talk about Seattle.
all right,
I have them finishing fourth. You have them finishing second. Is that correct?
third.
Third. Okay, sorry. I
They're
just
behind LA and San Fran.
LA. Oh, that's right. You had LA second. Sorry. Okay. I have them going 7-10. What do you have them going?
I have them 8 and 9. So we're kind of flipped on the Cardinals and the Seahawks right now a little bit.
Yeah. Here's kind of my take on everything that they've done this offseason is traded out DK Metcalf, you got rid of Tyler Lockett. So you got rid of wide receiver 1 and 2, which is awesome because it opens up room for JSN to kind of become the guy there, which I think he could be the guy. But I just don't know if I love Cooper Kupp being you have to replace a ton of production, a ton. Um, and now you're trying to do that
Yeah.
with Cooper Kupp, and that scares me. And the other thing is you're taking the coin flip on Sam Darnold. And here's my biggest problem with it. Sam Darnold was great with I want to call him Kevin McCarthy, but that's just I'm combining two names. With
Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell. Thank you. Jeez. Kevin O'Connell, which is an offensive minded coach. We've seen Sam Darnold one time with some defensive coaches, and boy, was it bad. Like it was just bad. So I just,
Yeah.
to me, if there was one team, if you're like, oh, who's a team you're not going to bet on for the first 8 weeks of the season? Oh, it's the Seattle Seahawks because what Sam Darnold am I getting? I have no
Yeah.
idea. I mean, to like that was an
Yeah.
awesome season out of Sam Darnold. No denying it. I mean, we talked about him. He was an MVP candidate like at some points during that. Um,
Hmm.
And now you're asking me to say, okay, we're going to take away his offensive head coach. We're going to take away Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and we're going to replace it with Mike McDonald, who I think could be a good coach. I think he's a good defensive mind. And JSN and Cooper Cup. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. I think you're going to sneak some games. I just don't know if they're going to be great.
Yeah, I think those are all very, very good points. And the biggest thing was Geno Smith struggled last year because there was multiple videos made that there were like the right side of their offensive line are double agents. Like they're being paid, the half their salary is being paid by who they're playing against,
Mhm.
because pound for pound, like they were both. I don't even know who. I think Abraham Lucas was their right tackle last year. Like both had arguments to be the worst starting offensive lineman in their positions last year. Um, which is obviously a massive hole to fix, right? Like that's why they didn't make the playoffs last year in my mind. Like a gutted defense, McDonald's trying to get his system set up, plus just you can't run the ball to the right side of the field, and Geno Smith is can't go through his progressions on that side because he's trying to make sure he's not about to get drilled in the face every time. Where I'm at with them at 8 and 9, I think I'm a little bit higher on JSN coming out than you are. I think he's going to be a stud this year. I do agree with you. Like that's the biggest question to me right now is what does he look like with the defensive head coach again? Now he's got some things under his belt. Obviously, he looked good in San Fran. It's Kyle Shanahan. He looked good with Kevin O'Connell. You're taking the best, arguably at worst, the second best receiver in the game and one of the best rookies from his class, and TJ Hawkinson, mind you, to going to this team has been struggling to find a tight end ever since they traded for Jimmy Graham when Russell Wilson was there, plus JSN, Cooper Cup. There are definite questions there, but I have a lot of faith in Mike McDonald as a head coach. Again, is he going to be the right coach for Sam Darnold? That part I don't know. So that's why I have them at 8 and 9. They're still missing the playoffs. I think they take a step in the right direction. So it's the same kind of thing for you with the Cardinals as me with the Seahawks, and vice versa. Like we're a 2 game split on either team at that point. Which this I think this might be the division that we defer the most on. Well, we got to get to the NFC North. I guess we got to get there too. I think the East is
Yeah.
going to be pretty easy 1 through 4, at least where teams land. But that was I'm not used to having that much parity. I'm used to what the the NFC South was, where we're just 4 for 4, same fucking teams every single time. So
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a tough division. I mean, it just, everyone feels like they're okay. And nobody feels like, okay, hey, we're going to be this level of team. You know what I mean? And the Rams will
yeah,
be that in the playoffs, but who knows what they are before then. So,
yeah. I
um,
was like, how healthy is Stafford? Can they get there?
yeah.
That part.
If I let's see if I can get this camera to focus back up. Maybe I can, maybe I cannot. Let's jump in. Let's jump into the East. I'm gonna guess that you have the Philadelphia Eagles finishing first. Um, Wild take because that's what I
Nah,
have.
Giants 14 wins.
Yeah, I think it's close. I think they
Yeah,
definitely
Dable
feel
resurgence.
Dayball resurgence. I'd love that because I do think he's a good coach, but
I would too.
I think they're gonna suck ass this year. Um, the
I do too. We'll talk about them.
The Eagles. I'm going 12-5, which maybe is worse than a lot of people probably have them going, but I think there's going to be Super Bowl hangover. I just really think there is. Um, and you saw rotational guys leave. You know what I mean? Like I know that doesn't sound like it's as important as it should be, but it does matter at the end of the day. You know, there is something to be said for that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think I definitely have them at first, obviously. I have them at 14-3. I'm not predicting really much of a Super Bowl hangover at all. I think does it play into the cliche of Jalen Hurts being, Mr. Positive, Mr. Motivational quote guy, possibly, but just everything I've seen from that team is just that I don't know if you saw the quotes from Jordan Maeda and Landon Dickerson coming out where at training camp, we're not defending anything. The 24-25 Philadelphia Eagles were the world champs and they won the Super Bowl and it was great, but that team is no longer here. Guys, obviously guys, a lot of guys are hanging around, but they won the Super Bowl. We're a different team now. We've got to go out and win it again. And that's
Yeah,
what their mindset is, which I think is 110% the right mindset to have to avoid that type of hangover. Um, Again, we don't have to spend a ton of time here. They're going to be a really good football team, whether it's 12 wins, whether it's 14. They're going to be. I don't want to say that they're a slam dunk to win that division because, I mean, Washington had a really good year last year. So, and obviously we're going to talk about them in a minute,
yeah.
but they're about as slam dunk as a division champ as Kansas City is at this point. So,
I agree. I think so. I think they wrap it up pretty well. Second in this division, I have the Commanders. I think there's a little bit of the hangover that happens. I'm going 11-6. I still think they're a really good team. I just don't think they're quite better uh, than the Eagles are. What are your thoughts on them?
I've got them right where you got them at 11-6. I agree with you. They're obviously nowhere near as talented as Philly. Curious to see if Jaden Daniels can avoid the sophomore slump slash the Redskins QB year two slump. And obviously it wasn't a slump for RG3 back in the day. It was injury issues, but he's got a couple things to fight through there. He's still got Cliff Kingsbury as his head or as his offensive coordinator, which I think was a big thing. Um, just a really good football team that's going to win a lot of games. It's you add Debo to that receiver room. The biggest question there is, are they going to pay Terry McLaurin? And I think they will. The question is when, how much drama are you going to allow to happen? How ugly is it going to get beforehand? Which, to give my thoughts on that contract situation, I think it is one of the dumbest ones. It's
Just pay
right
him.
up there next to Hendrickson for me.
So dumb.
Just pay him.
Yeah,
It
he's
is,
worth
and
it.
I understand from the commander standpoint, I understand the hesitancy to pay a receiver who's about to turn 30 and giving him top five because you're going to have to give him 30 a year, right? To give him what he wants, you're going to be probably 30 plus. And I understand the hesitancy to do that to a guy who's a little bit older who might take a step back here in the next 2 years. But no one has earned it more as far as being on a horrible team. He could have left 3 years ago. He could have upped and forced his way out to a winning football team at any point when he wanted to. And he stuck around and he
Yeah,
stuck with you until you got that rookie quarterback in and had success last year. Just pay the guy. Like, if there's anybody who's paid his dues on a bad football team and deserves to get paid, even if it is a little bit more than what the market says or what you want to give a 30-year-old, I don't care. Because
I-
there's no way that Jaden, also to pair along with all that other stuff, no way Jaden Daniels has as good of a year last year without Terry
about
McLaurin out
Terry.
on the outside.
Well, and he's the kind of guy like sometimes you get a guy and he fits the culture of what Dan Quinn wants and what they're looking to do, and he's one of those guys that it just is like, it just he goes right in. You know what I mean? There is no other kind of lineup where you're like, oh, does he fit? Is he an outlier or whatever? No, that's the guy. Like that's the guy who sets the tone for
Yep.
Washington, right? Like he is the leader in a locker room of young men
Mm-hmm.
and pay the man $35 million. Who cares? There's teams doing way stupider stuff out there. I mean, like I don't understand it.
I agree.
I think it's so dumb. It'll never make sense to me. Like, but hey,
I agree. The last thing there is if you're not going to pay a superstar while you have your superstar quarterback on a rookie contract, when the hell are you going to spend the money?
yeah,
You're going to be paying Jaden Daniels 50, if not 60 million a year at some point. Just pay Terry and make the years run up to right when that 5th year option runs off, and then, or the year after or something to give yourself some flexibility. And it's the easiest contract from all sides. I don't know why they're struggling with it at all.
yeah. No, I agree. All right, third in the division, I have got the Cowboys. I'm going 7-10, which I think is high personally. I think that might be these guys. If they won 4 games, I wouldn't think that's crazy, which is so nuts to say out loud. But it's been such a mess.
It is. I've got them at 8 and 9, which I think is probably, again, that's just your standard Cowboy season.
Yeah,
The offensive line obviously is going to be a bit of a question. They lose Tyler Guyton for the year. the circus that is when are we going to pay Micah Parsons does not help this team stay focused going into the year. I do think George Pickens is a really, really big add for this offense. I like the fit across from CeeDee Lamb. The question is when what you said, this team might win 4 games. What happens? Because as much as George Pickens might have been unhappy in Pittsburgh with the targets or this, that, or the other, they were at least winning 8 games a year. Like there was never a year where like Pittsburgh was 4-10 and they just absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
So, what does George Pickens look like inside that circus and under a Jerry Jones microscope? That's going to be the big question to me. I think they're going to look a lot like Cincinnati last year, except instead of having Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, you have CeeDee Lamb, still comparable top 5 receiver. George Pickens obviously could be better than T. Higgins. We'll see. I don't think he ever got the targets enough in Pittsburgh to really prove anything. And then obviously Dak is a step down from Joe. It's still a good trio, but the reason that the Bengals were halfway successful and close to the playoffs last year is because they had the 4th best quarterback, the best receiver, and probably the 2nd best 2 in the game. And
Yeah.
the Cowboys don't have any of those 3 guys. They have B tier versions of them, but yeah, it's they're gonna struggle, I think. And do you want to talk about Micah at all in this?
I mean, we
Fit him in,
can.
or
It's
what are you
just
thinking?
again same thing we said with Terry. It makes no sense why you don't pay him. Um, I don't know. I think it's kind of nuts. I want to let
Yeah,
it play out a little bit more because I'm curious if he gets traded or if he signs in the next week or so. I think a lot could happen by the time we do the next episode. So I'm more curious as to what happens then. But
okay.
and it's something we should probably talk about at the top of the episode, especially with all the comments fucking Jerry Jones has made. Because we could spend a good 20 minutes
Oh
on that. I
boy,
don't want to do that right now. Um,
yeah, that could be a 30-minute fan segment right there.
the thing I'll say too is like this team with Mike McCarthy, I have different feelings about it than I do with Brian Schottenheimer. There's just a lack of
Yeah,
trust of what he's capable of doing. That's why I said if they won 4, I wouldn't think that's crazy. I think he is a one and done Brian Schottenheimer. I don't think he ends up making it all the way through. So if he's the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys next year, I'll be shocked. And I think they're going to make some kind of weird, like I think they bring in
yeah,
Belichick or something after next year. I don't know, because it's just weird. The whole way this has gone is just weird, um, and I don't think he's the
yeah,
guy. So, um, yeah. Do you have any
yeah.
other
There's a
thoughts on
lot
them?
of weird. Yeah, weird is the perfect way to put it because I think it'd be weird for Jerry Jones to one and done a guy that he hired. Because again, if he fires Schottenheimer after a year, that is Jerry Jones openly admitting that he was wrong, and that does not fucking happen ever.
Yeah,
But also, there will be better head coaches available, no doubt. There's better head coaches available right now.
right
You
now.
could hire Brian Flores tomorrow with 2 weeks of prep time. I'd take Brian Flores over what Brian Schottenheimer proved to me as Seattle's offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I would again. I don't see Jerry firing a guy after a first season, but if they win 4 games, man,
maybe
that call for Jerry to make that drastic move. So
blow it up. Just trade CeeDee Lamb to the Patriots now. We'll send a package deal over. It'll be fine.
it's just fucking Jalen Polk. Here's 3 other wide receiver
Jalen
twos. Who
Polk.
cares?
I don't know if Jalen Polk's going to make the roster this year. Just
Even better.
yeah, probably get him for a great deal. Probably we'd give him up for nothing.
Hey,
We
you could probably get a 4th rounder out of Dallas for Jalen Polk right about now. All right,
you never know.
that's. I mean, it's Dallas. It's Dallas. So
Yeah. Last team, we're in lockstep. I'm sure is the Giants. I'm going 3-13. I just don't know. Like I like so many parts of this team. Is the craziest part. Um, like Thibodeau as a rotational guy is great. Abdul Carter is great. Why am I blanking on the guy from Carolina? What was his name that they traded for 2 years ago or 3 years
Brian
ago now?
Burns.
Ryan Burns. Yeah. Like that pass rush should be like one of the best in the league somehow. And it probably won't be some way or another.
We are never going to see a better front 4, better front 7 pass rush group be wasted than this, because I remember doing them last year after they traded for Burns. And you left out the biggest name to me is Dexter Lawrence,
Oh
obviously.
yeah, Dexter Lawrence. Yeah,
Um, and everybody's talking about. I've seen so many clips from Giants fans and from camp, and they're like, either Abdul Carter is going to be one of the best edge rushers in football, or Russell Wilson is going to have both of his legs broken by week 4 because we're going to have the worst offensive line in football. And it's probably a mixture of both, but I genuinely cannot think of a time in my life that I have seen a more talented group as far as getting after the quarterback. Like the number 3 overall pick in the draft, a former was Kayvon was number 5, I think, which obviously he's
yeah,
disappointed a bit, but still an extremely talented guy. Brian Burns is a double digit sack guy, and Dexter Lawrence is one of, if not the best pass rusher from the interior of the line right now. This is like this is generational levels of getting after the quarterback. The problem is you could sit there and throw slants and screens all day long because I don't think they have the secondary to stop somebody from throwing the ball in 3 seconds every play. And
yeah,
then obviously you get into the quarterback. They're the same thing with the Saints and the Browns where it's we don't know who it's going to be week 1. They say it's going to be Russ. I think that one's a little bit more locked in, but it could be
yeah,
Jameis. It could be Dart. Like I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback because I do think Dable knows that this is probably the last year if they don't do well, and
yeah,
it's just how are they going to do well? Like,
yeah. And it's always scary when you get in that spot because does Dart not play because Dayball knows it might be his last year, and like the hardest part too with this team is you look at the base talent, you go, oh, yeah, pretty good. And then you like look and you're like, who are their wide receivers besides Malik Neighbors? And then you look, you're like, oh, geez, like I don't know,
ugh,
I
yeah,
don't know about any of these guys like
yeah,
at all. So it's just so derived of talent. It's like the defense, like we said, top end is so heavy. And then you look at like everybody else and you're like, man, oh, that's who's playing safety and corner for you. That's going to be rough. Um,
yeah,
so, I mean, we'll see. You never know, I guess, but
yeah. I would love to see Jameis in a Brian Dable offense throwing to Malik Neighbors. I think that would be some of the most entertaining football you can watch on a Sunday.
that's such a good
But
1-2 punch. Such a good 1-2 punch.
like yeah, like again, the quarterback room is so interesting. And like, does Dart not play because they don't want to risk like a rookie getting him fired? But Jameis and Russ could look so bad that they feel like that's their last ditch to maybe save the job. Is just Dart being this messiah to save Dable's job. All I know is if Todd Monken's going to get hired as a head coach, I want it to be next off. I want it to be whenever Brian Dable gets fired. That's when I want it because I want Brian Dable as my OC in the worst way possible. Like if there's a team out there that's going to lose their OC to a head coach hire, that
Yeah,
should be the first phone call made because I think he's a damn good head coach and I think he's an even better coordinator.
like it. All right. Last division here, the NFC North. Who do you got finishing first?
This this division is just the same as the AFC West, just an absolute bloodbath 1 through 4. I think this is another division that we may not line up on. I have Detroit finishing at 1 at 10-7. Um, so one of the weaker. They're right there with Tampa winning the division at 10 wins, where the 5 seed's going to have a better record than Washington will have a better record.
Yeah, we'll talk about your team here. I have the Lions finishing
We
second.
can come back around to the lines.
Okay. I have the
So if you
Packers
want to save the
winning.
lines, we can.
Yeah, we'll save them. I have the Packers going 10-7.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that I like. The consistency. I think LaFleur is a better coach than people think he is. Um, I like that they went out and added to the offensive. This is the most aggressive they've been with offense that I think I've ever seen out of them. Uh, and I also
Yep.
like what's the wide receiver they took, the speedster, Matthew Golden. Um, I think snagging him at
Love him.
23rd is such a great move by them. Like I think that guy could be he could be the wide receiver one they've been looking for the last, I don't know, whenever Devontae left.
Yep. I agree with you. Like there were certain parts of the evaluation process last year where I had him as my best receiver coming out, and I think at worst he's third behind Ibuka and Tet, unless I'm not counting Travis Hunter in that conversation as well, just because
Okay.
you know which side of the ball he's going to play on. Like I loved Golden coming out. To me, the only thing that stands in his way is wearing 22 at the wide receiver position. It's just so ugly to me. But Rashid Shaheed's made it, this far, and he's been pretty decent out in New Orleans despite the quarterback play. So it's also hilarious that after all the years of Aaron Rodgers begging and pleading, they draft a receiver in the first round, and Pittsburgh turns around and takes a defensive tackle. Thought that was hilarious. Thought that was really funny. But yeah, I like what they did a lot. Josh Jacobs, obviously, that's the thing that was always missing from those Rodgers teams. It wasn't a lack of having a running back; it was lack of having a running back that you do not want to tackle in Lambeau come playoff time. Like they built one of the most lethal air raid offenses of all time, but they had to play in -10 degrees with a 20-mile-an-hour crosswind come playoff time, and they were always the one seed during the Rodgers eras. Home field
Yeah.
advantage was almost a disadvantage for them. It was an advantage because you're bringing somebody else into an environment that you're used to, but it was a downside because your football didn't play to that style. Now it does. Like I would not. I mean, I don't want to tackle Josh Jacobs any day of the week, but you asked me to do it when it's -10 out. I'm gonna throw a 4-letter curse word in front of no when you ask me to do that. So I like them a lot. I have them right at 10-7 as well. They're just 10-7 off the tiebreaker. They're my second in that division for me. So
Yeah. Let's jump into Detroit then. I had another thought on Green Bay, but I'm forgetting what it is. But yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I just like that team. That team just feels good. But Detroit,
yeah,
I have them finishing second, 8-9, just missing the playoffs, which I know is going to be a little bit stunning to a lot of people. But I, I, we have talked about it a lot on this podcast, and it has reigned true sometimes, and it has not. Um, but the best example I can give: the Eagles make the Super Bowl that first year. The first time the Eagles made the Super Bowl, they lose Steichen and they lose uh, Jonathan Gannon, so they
Gannon.
lose their two coordinators. Boy, did they make some mistakes with the people they replaced him with. They both got fired middle of the season. We thought Sirianni was going to lose his job that next
Yep.
season. There was talks that he was on the hot seat. And then he fires both of those guys,
Yep.
gets in the two right guys, and it's all good. So when you're not a specific like one side of the ball coach, right? Like Dan Campbell is, he's a general manager coach. He is not, he's not a defensive specialist. He's not an offensive specialist. He played tight end, but he's not Shanahan where he's drawing up plays in the huddle and things like that. It's hard
Nope.
to lose both
Yep.
your guys in 1 year is really hard. So it
Yep.
scares the ever living crap out of me. I think they're going to struggle way more than people think.
Yeah, I agree. I have them at third in my division. Or no, I lied. I have them at first. What am I talking about? 10-7. So I'm a hair higher than you are. I agree. The loss of Ben Johnson is going to be big. I think they're going to lose some games on his go for it on fourth down at your own 20-yard line situations that he made last year. He does not have the genius of Ben Johnson's offensive play calling to make those situations work. And we all know Dan Campbell well enough. He's not going to back away from those situations just because Ben Johnson's not there. If anything, he might lean more into him to prove us all
Yeah.
wrong. And there's a chance
Anything.
that it works. I mean, it's a gamble. It's a gamble at the end of the day. And maybe Dan Campbell gets lucky and maybe he doesn't. The other big thing for me, such a run heavy centric team, losing Frank Ragnow, retiring as their center. I've seen some film breakdowns on it, which inspired me to go watch some extra tape because I always knew that he was one of the best, if not the best center in the game behind guys like Creed Humphrey and Tyler Linderbaum who are coming into their own the last couple of years. Ragnow was the staple guy before that. Just he would have been the best center in the game if it wasn't for having
Yeah.
a Hall of Famer down in Philadelphia wearing number 62. Um, he was such a key, vital piece in their run game. Now they're sliding a guard from last year in Graham Glasnow to center, which is fine. He has experience there at the college level, but I think that run game suffers. Now, the reason I have him a little bit higher than you, I still have a lot of faith in the talent there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams. Sam Laporta, Jared Goff is still good. Curious to see if Goff can beat the offensive coordinator slash offensive minded head coach allegations because
Yeah.
when he fell apart, and I mean, remember, like, it's if this is the end or a down year, this team was not supposed to be here. The Stafford trade happened, and we're like, Jared Goff is going to Detroit to die. Like,
Yeah.
it's over. He'll be out of the league in 3 to 4 years because they'll probably go to a younger guy and he won't get another shot. This team was a couple injuries off defense from making a Super Bowl run 2 years or last year or 2 years ago. They've been a very good football team. I'm a massive, massive Jahmyr Gibbs guy. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm like, it's still a stretch because we have not seen the production that it's nowhere near close. But I have never seen a guy play style wise that is closer to Jamal Charles in my entire life. And Jamal Charles was a dog. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs is really good, and I like him. And it pissed me off last year. Nothing against David Montgomery. I love David Montgomery too. But when I feel like a guy is that special, I'm like, we got to cut this loose, man. Like, this should be, he should have Saquon Barkley numbers. But David Montgomery was too good and fit the scheme too well to not give him any carries. And it's going to be the same way this year, I think. Um, and I think that might hurt him in some spots too. Like to me, Gibbs is super, super special. And again, it's nothing against Montgomery. I think he's a stud, but I legitimately think that Gibbs might be a top five talented running back in the game. And when you're cutting that guy out for carries for David Montgomery, I think in the long run it's going to hurt your team in some situations. Obviously, not around the goal line, but neither here nor there. So I'm a little
I,
bit higher on them. They win the tiebreaker against Green Bay to get the division, but they're definitely going to take a step back this year for sure.
so I'm a coordinator guy. I love knowing who's who, who's like the next, who's going to be the next big coordinator, all of that stuff. So I looked, I was like, man, who did they
Yep.
hire? I didn't remember the name off the top of my head. It was John Morton. I was like, man, how do I not really kind of know who this guy is? Last time he was an OC, this is great. You'll absolutely love this. Was for the Denver Broncos in 2023 and 2024. Uh, and you might remember that as the worst year of Russell Wilson's career. I think they started out like 1 and
Yeah.
6 or something that season. It was horrendous. Uh,
Yep.
and
Yep.
ever since then, yeah, he was the pass game coordinator for that team. And boy, did something suck on that team, and it was the pass game. Uh,
Yeah.
so I
Yep.
don't know. I just you never know. You never know when a guy will be the guy. I hate to say that, but sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
You think you're like, man, that guy is the worst guy for this job, and then he ends up being great. And sometimes you think a guy's going to be great and he stinks. So, um, who do you have
Yeah.
finishing third in that division?
Yep. Third in that division, I have the Minnesota Vikings at 9-8. They are the second team out of my playoff picture.
Okay, I have the Vikings in last in that division. I have them going 6-10. Uh, I am
Okay.
not a
All
big
right.
believer in JJ McCarthy. Like he's not my favorite guy in this entire world. There's enough offensive talent there to just maybe like you could be right. Like I don't think it's an insane take to think they win 10 games. I know a lot of people have him doing that. I just don't think he's that good yet to get them to that point. Um, I think,
Yeah.
and the biggest thing that scares me too is Jordan Addison. Was he suspended 4 or 6 games? Do you remember?
I thought it was three,
Is
but it
it
might have been
3?
four. It's
I knew
definitely
it's
four more than it's six.
okay. Um,
I definitely lean 4 over 6, but I thought it was three.
that scares me. Like that is a significant hint to a rookie QB. And we've talked about Kamara, and we've talked about these teams with good running backs. Minnesota's relying on Aaron Jones. Like I just don't know
Yeah.
like if I'm going to sit here and tell you how much I believe in that. So it scares me a
Yeah.
lot. That team does.
Yeah. Where I'm at with Minnesota, and I agree with you. I was not a McCarthy guy coming out. I really didn't think he was a first round talent kind of guy. The more I sit there and look at it, we talk about Darnold was in MVP conversations last year. Kirk Cousins was very good with Kevin O'Connell. They have to me, still the best receiver in the game in Justin Jefferson. Um, if you want to put him at 2, it's not a crazy thing to say Jamar's better than him at this point.
There's that's a
I
1-2
still have him as
debate.
the best receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's where the conversation is. Who's the best receiver in the game? Those are the two names. Nobody else is close, in my opinion. It's one of those two guys. And I think for the guys that have Jamar at 1, again, it's the same thing we're talking about Burrow in the quarterback list to start the show off. You can't just look at the numbers of it because, of course, Jamar Chase had a better year. He was forced into those situations. They had to throw the ball. Hell, I think Jamar had a total of probably over 400 yards just against the Ravens last year. And guess what? They lost both of those games. Justin Jefferson has been the guy since he's entered the league, in my opinion. The Jordan Addison thing, it does hurt them for the first 3-4 weeks of the season. Still have TJ Hawkinson, really good offensive coach. The offensive line should be pretty good. Brian Flores is going to have the defense to a T. If this team, if he comes out and he's Brock Purdy, which just the game manager doesn't turn the ball over, doesn't do anything that you're like, JJ helped us. JJ is the reason we won this game. As long as he's not the reason they lost the game, that to me can signify a 9-10 win football team. And if they were in the NFC South, to me, that's a division winner and probably closer to 10-11 because of how much they could beat up on that division. But this division is going to be a bloodbath. Like,
Yeah, it
I could
is.
see them at 7 wins. I could see them at 11. Like, they could be all over the place. Because, again, I was not high on McCarthy coming out. I was like, you basically drafted a quarterback from Army, is what it felt like. Like, yeah, Michigan won a national championship, but it was 80% run game that got
I
him there,
I just
like
don't know what he is. He's kind of he's a mystery box. Like you could open it up and you could really like
I
what you
agree.
have, but he could also be a huge disappointment. So, uh
Yep. Yep.
it's easy to just think like, oh, these guys make every quarterback great, and it can be, but it's not always the case. So, um, I don't know. I have some major reservations. What?
I'm even higher on him. I was like, who's their backup? Just in case things go awry, he gets
Sam
hurt
Howell,
again.
isn't it?
It's Sam Howell,
Yeah.
which yeah, it's Sam Howell, and I was a firm Sam Howell guy beforehand. So I was like, they might be better with Sam Howell. Now that I'm seeing that, I'm like, put Sam Howell in there, dude. Go win
Listen,
10
you wanted
games.
to
But
get into backup QBs that excite me. Sam Howell's on the list. Mac Jones, baby, in San Francisco. If Brock Purdy goes down, Brock Purdy's never starting again in San Francisco. It's the Mac Jones era. Bring back. I'm rooting for Mac.
it's
I hope he gets a chance to start at least a couple games in San Francisco. I want the best for the guy.
yeah, it's possible, and he's another guy that in the right system with the right weapons, I think can still be a serviceable, arguably a really good quarterback picked up by the guys that are around him.
He'd
And
still be the
maybe I'm a little
starting
higher there than
QB.
not, but like,
He'd still be the starting QB if McDaniels never left. There's no doubt in my mind. If McDaniel stays
yeah,
the whole time, I think he's the guy. But I don't know. We
you're
could talk
holding
about
on to
Mac
him.
Jones any other time. Love that guy. Talk to you more
Yeah,
about Mac Jones than
fair.
I could
Yeah,
Micah
we're
Parsons
past the Niners
contract.
now.
Yeah. Um. All right.
How about it?
We got the last team here is the Chicago Bears. I'm going 7-10, so just barely above the Vikings at 6-10. I think they take a small step forward. I just don't think they take a giant leap.
Yeah, I agree. I'm right at 7-10 again. I just have the Vikings doing a hair better. That's why
Yeah.
they're at third instead of fourth. But we're dot on the record. I I don't know with this team. Like, it's not an uncertainty with the team itself, really. It's the stigma with the Bears, which is funny because I thought, when they hired Ben Johnson, I was like, damn, everybody's gonna have them as a 12-win football team. But that division is rough. Like, it
Gruesome.
is going to be tough. And I see a little bit of issues if they start slow. I don't want to dive too much into the Caleb Williams, hate train or, he's emotional, paints his fingernails, whatever. I don't think he's a guy that handles losses very well. Like, I think if they start 2-6, it's going to get to him. And I think it got to him a bit last year, like the walk-off Hail Mary by Jaden Daniels in Washington last year when they beat Chicago. Like, and obviously every player is going to react to that play. It's a bad example, but
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift obviously has some playtime in a Ben Johnson offense. He had a pretty decent year in Detroit, from what I remember under Ben Johnson. The receiver room is there. The question is the O line going to be there? I will say Ryan Poles has at least done his due diligence to spend money on the offensive line. I don't know if giving Jonah Jackson a ton of money for an offensive lineman who can't play 15, 14 games in a year is a great move, but it was not for the lack of trying, right? Joe Tooney's up there now.
Yeah.
So they have spent the money. It is not for a lack of effort as far as trying to improve the guys in front of Caleb.
They probably had, I would say, either the second. They had a top. They probably had the second best offseason out of any team, I think, in the NFL. Um, between shoring up the interior of that offensive line, I mean, they drafted. I can't remember the tight end's name out of Michigan, but you add him, and then you added. I think they added Luther Burton in the second round, if I remember correctly. And a
Second
lot
or
of people
third.
thought him was it the third?
Yeah, I think it might have been the second.
But a lot of people talked about him being a first round talent years ago. So I just
Yep.
if this team won 10 games, I wouldn't be shocked. I kind of have them, I think, more at their
Yep.
floor than I do their ceiling. Um, it's just it's these teams with quarterbacks going into their second, third year. It's kind of hard to predict. When is there a jump? Is it the same? Are they going to get worse? Are they, how much better is Caleb? Caleb Williams will be better this year than he was last year. I have no doubts about that. The team
Yep.
around him is better. The coaching is
Yep.
better. It's just how much better.
Yeah. I agree. And like you said, I think Colston Loveland is going to be an absolute weapon in that offense. That for the roster, outside of Ben Johnson himself, might have been their biggest add this offseason.
No, I agree.
But the defense still solid. You add Loveland, you trade in Burden for Keenan Allen. You still have Zacchaeus there. You have Devin Duvernay. I would be surprised to not see them add another running back because right now Roshan Johnson is still the backup, and I just feel that Ben Johnson's going to want another guy behind DeAndre Swift that he can really, really rely on. If Detroit's struggling really that bad and there's a desperate move to be made, maybe the Bears are overachieving. Don't be surprised to see David Montgomery back in a Bears jersey at some point next year because it's obvious that Ben Johnson likes that guy a lot. So it's the unknown of it, playing in a very tough division. The offensive line is still shaky to me. Again, they've done their due. It was the same like Cincinnati. You remember 2 years ago, they spent money. Like when they fell short in the Super Bowl because Aaron Donald couldn't be blocked for more than a half a second. They spent money, right? Alex Kappa came over. They paid Orlando Brown a ton of money, and they haven't been to the playoffs since. It did not pan out. And again, it wasn't for a lack of trying. You can't put it on the Bengals for not being like, we're going to spend money on the offensive line because they did, but it just wasn't the right guys. And we're not sure if this is going to be if they have the right guys there. But I think Joe Tooney on the interior of that line is going to be really big for Ben Johnson's run scheme. I think that's going to be a really big boost to them this year. So it's that division, man. It's the division and the uncertainty of a first year head coach. Because again, like you said, some guys you think are going to be great, they're not, and some guys you think are going to be bad, and they're great. We
Yeah.
thought Dan Campbell was going to suck. Here we are. His NFC Championship appearance already in his career. We think Ben Johnson was this offensive stud, and I have a feeling we're going to be right. But also at the same time, even if we are, is it going to translate year one to a second year core? I think they really screwed the pooch by not just firing Eberflus last year. And whether it was Ben Johnson or another offensive coach, I think they drastically stifled Caleb Williams' development by keeping a defensive minded head coach around for absolutely nothing. Like
No, I mean
the
everyone knew it.
defense wasn't great with Eberflus while being talented.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
writing was on the wall with Eberflus. It was going into the season. Everyone's like, "There's no way this guy makes it next season. So, I mean, unless that team won like 11 games, which it wasn't going to happen. So,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. They've always held
No.
on coaches
And
just a little bit too long.
it's to me, it's such a simple formula to hit. Like, if you have a rookie quarterback and you have a head coach that's on the hot seat, unless it's a guy that's young, like say that, Ben Johnson was on the hot seat and then they drafted Caleb. I would have kept Ben Johnson. I'm like, at least we have a shot here, young offensive coach where we can see that. Same thing with Dable, like
Yeah.
we might be able to let this ride. If Dable was a year or two, back in his contract, where we're not entering the last year of Dable, maybe, he's just entering the hot seat. I'd be like,
Yeah.
you got to keep him because he might be able to make Dart. Because if it, again, it's not even about the coach himself. You're just stunting your quarterback's growth. We've seen that time and time again that losing coordinators and especially cycling in head coaches year after year or every 2 years will kill a quarterback's career. And
Yeah.
I don't think Eberflus did Justin Fields any favors. And to my recent memory, Justin Herbert's really the only one that's been able to survive all the turmoil at his head coaching spot. I can throw Baker in there, but there's obviously a difference. He's played for 4 teams at this point. So it's not just the team canning and rehiring every single offseason. Hopefully Bryce Young joins that category. But yeah, we're on the same page about a lot of stuff per usual, but there's
Yeah.
definitely some interesting battles that happened in the NFC West and the NFC North this year. So
I'm excited. I'm excited.
yeah,
Next week, AFC, which is both of our teams' division, so much more of our speed. I think that one we're going to be way different. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. We might be the same. We could be pretty close, but it'll definitely be very, very interesting
yeah,
to see, to say the least.
it's yeah. It seems like we're far apart on the teams that have been, because like we're far apart on the Niners and the Seahawks and a couple of these teams, but like the teams that you thought were going to take a step back, and you're like, he might not, agree with this. We're the ones that you're like, there's no way he agrees with me here, right? I think I'm ahead of the train. Those are the ones that we're on the same page about.
Same
Detroit
page
taking
on.
a step back,
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. Yeah. So you want to run through your 1 through 7 playoff picture before we get out of here?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
This is so.
I was
I
like, I
can't
can run through mine too.
I can't believe. Yeah, you should. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the first overall team. The Philadelphia Eagles are the second. The Rams are the third. The Packers finish fourth, and then my wild card is the Commanders as the fifth seed. The Panthers is the sixth seed, and the Cardinals is the seventh seed.
Yeah, a little bit of a funky playoff picture, but it's not crazy by any stretch. Again, saying Tampa Bay 1, Philly 2 feels crazy, but
It's
they
just
have the same
nuts.
record and it's a tiebreaker situation. Like
Yeah.
it's the way that the tiebreakers fall for you. So on my side, I have Philly at 1, San Fran at 2, again, way too high on them, just the way that the schedule played. Detroit at 3, taking a step back, but still surviving and being able to win that division. Tampa Bay at 4, winning theirs, and then my wild card, Washington at the 5 seed, Green Bay at the 6 seed, and the Rams at the 7 seed. The reason that I know my predictions will not hold true is that my 3, 4, 6, and 7 seeds are all 10-7 in the NFC, which is just not going to happen.
That'd be
So
great. That'd be cool if it did, but probably not.
yeah, that'd be just tiebreakers. I cannot imagine the posts that we'd see on social media going into week 18 next year of just like, here's like, teams could go from the 2 or the 3 seed to the 7 seed with one loss,
One
just like
loss.
that.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
true.
that's where football gets fun. That's where football gets real fun, when we're like, we win this game, we get a home playoff game, we're the division champs. We lose this game, we're not only going on the road, we're going on the road the whole run to the Super Bowl, right? We're playing on the road, the wild card, on the, like,
Yeah.
that's the situations you live for right there. So that is going to do it for episode 1 of Redzone Talk for the 2025-26 NFL season. We will catch you guys next week for the AFC predictions. Be tuned. It's probably going to be a hair longer of an episode. Obviously, we're going to go on short rants about our team. Mine not as long. It's expected for the Ravens to do well. But we're going to have to dive into Tim's Patriots. This is the first time in a couple of years we've been able to really deep dive and have some positivity
Be
in New England.
relevant.
So I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I'm excited to see what this guy's got to say about his favorite team. So that's going to do it for week 1. We'll see you guys for week 2 next week for the AFC. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you then.